right, shalom and good morning, boys. Here. Okay, I'm on my way out to the site, but shoot, I got like a 40-minute drive. But it's all good. But what I wanted to talk about, was commodities. And in the news, Russia, Ukraine, commodity prices. It's interesting. Years ago, I saw this thing from the very beginning and began to make moves. And what it required was the transformation of my mind, the renewing of my mind, the complete wiping out and reprinting or reapplication of new ideas and thoughts that I've never considered before. That is a doozy, because when you really come to the knowledge, I'm talking about people coming to the knowledge of this fake truth or this facade type crap. But when you really come to the knowledge of the truth, your perspective on damn near everything changes or gets altered, and you begin to live it out. And so that's what I began to do immediately. I must have looked crazy one minute, going to shows and operas and concerts, and the next minute storing food. It was literally overnight. It was like a week transition. It took about the transition of a week for me, and I never went back. But commodities, an investment, sure. A lot of people could have, I remember when Bitcoin was a cent. I remember when people were trying to give me Bitcoins, they're trying to get me into Bitcoins. And I'm telling you, man, from what I understand, they're all doing well. Grumpy Jamaican, an old YouTube channel. But let me tell you, man, the stock market, if you invested in the stock market, 10 years ago, it's just going nothing but up. However, I didn't do any of those things, and I chose to take my hard cash and invest it in commodities. What were those commodities? Real tangible assets that had a loyal title, that had intrinsic value, seeds, equipment, gold, silver, household supplies, like real commodities, real things of value, trailers, so that I can get wood. I got about, it must have been about $10,000 worth of wood I was able to get. If I had to purchase it, probably like 7,000 stretching. But if I had to purchase that firewood, it would have cost about $7,000. So I was able to harvest $7,000 with my hands. But real commodities, I chose to invest in. And what do we see today? We're seeing those real commodities all shoot up in price. And those real commodities are maintaining their value. So while people are scrambling to get real commodities, they're paying more for those real commodities because the value of their dollars are going down. And this is how you shield yourself from inflation, because a lot of people, they said, I was a big silver guy, you know what I'm saying, at the beginning. But I realized that, I was placing myself in a small, narrow bandwidth of the commodity spectrum. And so I wanted to make sure I was fully diversified in all commodities. Now I'm talking about commodities that I'm going to need into the future indefinitely. Raw materials, nails, Midas saw blades. I mean, I could go on and on. These are real things that are, I'm looking at this stuff and they're all going up in price. The same damn Midas saw blade. Why does it cost $3, $4, $5 more now? Wood. I mean, I can go on and on. Metal. Real things. And it's paying off big time. It really is paying off. So that was my investment strategy. And that's going to continue to be my investment strategy. Because we clearly see what's going on. Some of us see what's going on. A lot of people really don't see what's going on, even in the so-called truth, because you watch the mannerism of their lifestyle, you watch how they spend their resources, you watch what they do, and they don't believe a damn thing at all. They believe in talking the talk, but when it comes to the actual walking this thing out and making the sacrifices, you don't see many people doing it. You see people fronting, but you don't see many people doing it. You want to invest in real commodities, wheat, corn, sugar, flour, this kind of stuff, because again, all of it is going up, is it not? Is it not right in your face? Gas. If I had cash to put into the stock market, I would invest in food companies, oil companies, gas companies, oil and gas companies, anything that's making anything real, that regardless of what the economy is doing, those industries are going to still survive and thrive because they are into the real commodities, the real services that people need in order to survive. Because we're getting down to a survival. A lot of people are already there where, they're just making enough money to just exist and get by. They're not making any progress money. They're just making just enough money to get by. And as the price of commodities that they need continue to rise, their standard of living and their ability to provide for themselves and their children are going to be greatly diminished. We're going to see who's been hearing from the Most High. We're going to see who the real preachers, teachers, prophets, brothers. We're going to see. We're going to see. And that's the beautiful thing. Because, you can't hide from truth. You can't hide from the responsibilities that you have as a man. It's going to show. It's definitely going to show. And what we're seeing is houses fall. We're seeing houses being disintegrated because they did not foresee the danger and prepared their house accordingly. They was into all sorts of revelings and back and forths and worldly things. They didn't have their eye on the ball. And a lot of people are suffering now for it. A lot of people, what I've noticed, a lot of people, they know that they're doing bad and there's no future, but they put themselves in this state of delusion, like things are going to get better. When things are not, they're not. There's no indicators that show that they're going to get better. You know why? Because people aren't making any moves. They're wishing on a hope and a dream and a star. That's the extent of their action towards it. It's just a thought. It's just they don't want to put in the real hard work. and it is what it is. I said, I'm looking forward to $5 gallon gas. I really am. Because this is an economic war. And the casualties are going to be those who did not understand economic warfare, how to fight it, and how to defend against an economic attack. I spend a lot of time, people. I've studied kinetic physical war, psychological war, economic war, spiritual war. They all have their facets. They all have their ways. They all have their how it's conducted. And one thing that I've studied quite well is how to wage economic warfare and how to defend myself against economic warfare by the system or anybody for that matter. How do you shield yourself economically from somebody waging war against you? Just like you might shield yourself from somebody physically attacking you by putting on a vest or learning self-defense. Just like you may understand how to send curses back in a spiritual manner, because there's a certain way that you have to go about doing that for it to be effective. A lot of people don't believe in that also, but neither here nor there. These types of warfare have rules of engagement, philosophies, steps that must be taken in order to ensure a successful outcome. Like the old Sun Tzu's The Art of War. Understand, who your opponent is. Because if you understand who your opponent is, then you'll understand how to engage them correctly, because not everybody is to be engaged the same way. This is the thought process. This is how you have to think and understand. And so what I've done personally, like I say, was shield myself from, as much as possible, as best as I could, from the economic attack that this world is clearly waging against the citizens of this world. I've studied their tactics. I understand how they move, and I understand what I needed to do in order to shield myself from it. Look at Joseph. Look at how they looked at the Israelites and Israel. Look how they look at the shepherds. Look at how they what Noah did. Look at what Joseph did. It's all right there. The examples are right there. But when you look out, so few people apply it. It's a shame. What does a wise man do? He foresees the evil. Hey, I like to not only see down the block, but around the corner.